Now, the deep state, the corrupt politicians, big tech fake news, the puppet masters, they are now realizing that they are not going to cancel Trump. They're not going to stop him from becoming the nominee. They realize, well, everything that we have tried, the indictments and all the other cases, everything that they threw at Trump, it is just not working. And you can see they're prepared to take this to the next level. And what does that mean? They're going to have to take this to the next step, and they're going to actually have to have some type of an event, a false flag, to cancel the election. Remember, they don't want Trump in as president. And this event is going to lead us to war. Now, Trump has the ultimate countermeasure to all of this, and that is peace. And this is why he's telling people, if you elect me, I know all the players, I know the people, we can have peace. Now think about it. If we're in the month of October and we're on the precipice of war, and I'm just going to use this as an example. Let's say there was a missile that was fired from North Korea, it was fired from Iran, or some unknown entity, and it was intercepted over the ocean. Do you think people will be afraid? Do you think people will be scared? Do you think that people will be like, holy crap, wait a minute, we're actually going to war? People are now attacking the United States? And we're going to have the news and Biden on one side, his administration on one side, saying we must go to war, we must defend America. And then we have Trump on the other side saying, whoa, wait a minute. If you elect me, I can have peace in 24 hours. What do you think that people will do at that point? Now, again, remember, this is talk, and talk is cheap. So a lot of people are going to say, I'd rather go to war than vote for Trump. I'd rather die than vote for Trump. But again, until that person is in that situation, you really don't know how they're going to react because, like I said before, talk is cheap. Everyone's very, very brave, and they stand on their soapbox when it's not actually happening. When it actually is happening, this is when emotions seep in. This is when fear seeps in. See, without the event, without anything happening, there is no emotion. There is no fear. So it's very easy to say what you're going to do. You don't know what you're going to do until you realize you're at that point where your entire way of life, your family, could be destroyed in a matter of minutes. And when people see some type of an event like that, that's when people realize the truth of the matter. So even if you ask people, oh, if we're going to war and we're on the precipice, and people say, well, I'd rather go to war, they're not in that situation. They're not in that moment, and they're not seeing everything that's happening around them. People could talk about it way before this and say, oh, what happens if they hit a building? Oh, what happens if the virus was released? Until you're in it, you don't know how people are going to react. Look how people reacted. A lot of people went nuts though. They started to tell on other people, oh, they're not wearing a mask. That person's not wearing a mask. Even your neighbors started to tell on other people. So you don't know how they're going to react until they're in that moment. And I do believe this is why people need to reach that precipice point where their emotions, where fear sets in. And at that moment in time, that is when they will find that will to change. And I do believe Trump, the Patriots, they know this. They know exactly what the deep state's going to do. They know that they're going to try to bring us to war. And remember, this was all part of their 16-year plan from the very, very beginning. Do I believe we're going to war? No, it's going to look like that. It's going to get very, very scary. And yes, people are going to have to prepare themselves because this is going to be a very bumpy 10 months. And it's going to get a lot worse before it gets better. And I do believe it needs to be done to wake the population up, because otherwise the people will not fight for their freedom. The people will not push back. The people will just sit there and do nothing. This is the only way to wake people up, or actually have a war. That really wakes people up. But if you just bring them to that point, it will wake a lot of people up. And along the way, the people are going to be slapped in the face multiple times. A lot of people wake up at all different times. So some people might wake up in the first slap, second slap, third slap, but all along, people will feel this all the way through this entire process. Now, the deep state, the corrupt politicians, the private what's the central bank, the World Economic Forum, their entire mission to bring us into the Great Reset, the Green New Deal, is failing every single day. And the Green New Scam, well, it's not working the way they thought. Why? Because they don't have a cover story. The people are wide awake. They can see exactly what's going on. And every day that passes and every day they push their agenda, it's making it worse for them. Now, the deep state, the World Economic Forum, they understand this. They know in the end what they're doing is not going to work. Remember, they were planning to do this way, way back. They never expected people to be awake like this. And now they shifted their plans, and now they're ready to bring in a cover story. Now, this is the reason why they're continually moving forward with their plan, because they know in the end they're going to have a major, major distraction, because once again, the people are not going to go along with what they have planned. And you can see this as clear as day. People understand that the economy's falling apart, not because, oh, it's just happening because it's happening. People understand it's happening because they're the ones who are causing it by trying to bring in the Green New Scam, by trying to bring us to the Great Reset. They're the ones who are creating these problems. And look what they did. They started out in the European countries. They tried to take the land from the farmers, and they pushed taxes, and they kept pushing. Sounds like the first Revolutionary War, where they tried to tax the people and the people started to push back. Well, it looks like the Europeans, they are now pushing back. And we can see it's not just one country. The people of these countries, they are coming together, and the people now are linked. We can see out in Germany, the German farmers, they decided to align their tractors, and in German, they spelled the word, "We are fed up," and they are now pissed and angry. And we can see we have the Polish truck drivers, we have the farmers in the Netherlands, we have the people in Spain, the people in France. Everyone is starting to push back because the people, they understand what's happening, and they realize if they allow this to happen, well, their livelihood is completely and utterly over, and their way of life is completely and utterly over, especially those people out in Germany. Because remember, they've been trying to hit that net zero goal, and they're getting rid of everything that produces energy. They're purchasing energy, and the country, well, the entire economic system is completely falling apart. They're in a recession right now. Manufacturing is imploding. Remember, they were the manufacturing powerhouse of Europe. Now look at them. And the people, they're realizing this. They understand. They see it with their own two eyes. And look what Europe has been doing. They've been buying Russian oil via India at record rates. Why? Because it's absolutely freezing right now. The Earth is not warming up. Actually, now we're in a cold spell. And now you can see the deep state players, they're trying to explain why this is happening. Actually, Steve Malloy put this out on X and said, the New York Times is really going to have to get its story straight. January 2nd, global warming to end snow. January 12th, global warming to increase snow. Think about what they're doing right now. I remember going back in time when Al Gore said, hey, by the way, snow is going to be a thing of the past. Really? How'd that work out for him? Didn't he say that was going to be a thing of the past, what, in 2000? Now we're in 2024? Well, the opposite has completely happened. I remember Trump having a meeting with Newsom and many others, and they're talking about how the earth is warming up. And he's saying, no, the earth is cooling right now. And now we can see the truth. They've been lying to the people for a very long time. And what's very interesting, as the United States is experiencing a winter storm and it's absolutely freezing, what did John Kerry do? Well, Andy Puzder put this out on X and says, Biden's climate czar, John Kerry, announced he is resigning during brutal coast-to-coast mix of snow rain, and bitter cold. He will join Biden's campaign to make the case for Biden's climate policies. Seriously, you can't make this stuff up. And you really can't. And remember, didn't he run for president? Didn't he lose? Well, maybe he's going to use the same exact techniques, which is not going to really help Biden. But you can see everything that they're setting up while they're sitting there going, oh, Trump is giving everything to the corporations, to the wealthy and everything like that. Actually, it's them. And they do it in a way that nobody notices. But people are starting to notice. People are starting to see what is going on. And what's very interesting is you can see that they're trying to push these climate rules. And these rules, well, that might mean a very big payday for Biden's buddies. I mean, really think about this for a sec. Because the SEC, they estimate that it will cost anywhere from $460,000 to $640,000 for companies to comply with the new rules during the first year they're in operation. Given that complexity involved in tracking Scope 3 emissions, it's not too difficult to imagine how Persephone stands to benefit financially from software and accounting services specifically tailored for this purpose. In fact, that appears to have been the plan right from the get-go. Influence Watch describes how the accounting firm and environmental activists joined forces to have substantial input on the disclosure rules. And when you look at Persephone, what are they? Well, they manage your emissions data and they do financial data analysis. So really think about this for a second. And when you really think about it, they are going to prosper from all of this, all these new rules and everything like that. And who do you think they put into these companies? It's all set up from the very, very beginning to make themselves very, very wealthy. And this is what this is all about from the very, very beginning. It's not about saving the planet. The planet does not need to be saved. Actually, I take that back. Yes, the planet needs to be saved from the central bankers, the deep state players, and the criminals. But it doesn't need to be saved from this climate scam. What they're actually doing is they're creating a system where they could tax the world, where they can control the people, where they can enslave them like we've never seen before. And they would control everything the people do. And we can see how they're going to do this. Right now, Ford is in the process of filing a patent. What do you think this patent is? Well, what's very interesting about this, and Wall Street Silver put this out on X, is that the patent will force the car to drive itself to a repossession agency if you do not pay. Plus, they will be able to turn off certain features if you miss payments. So maybe you won't have air conditioning, maybe your radio won't work, maybe you won't have lights inside of your car. I'm not saying outside, that's against law. Maybe you won't have certain things and maybe these things will not be operational until you make the payment. Take that and expand that. What do they really want to do? Well, this is in preparation for what? Well, if you don't do what we say, if you're not politically aligned with our narrative, we will shut you down. And this is not just for cars. Remember, this is why they want everything electric, because they can access everything very, very easily, because they can just do it through the electrical system. The same thing with all your house appliances.